Good morning, high vibe tribe. It's such a great day today. I am higher vibrations, and so are you. And thank you all for coming. I know this is a delayed stream, an hour later than we expected, and now I'm 3 minutes behind. And there's just a lot going on. I've been interacting with the Muggles a bit today, so I'll tell you guys more about it later on. But first, I want to welcome our guest. Varleigh, Lavender Sky Panther in the lavender Santa hat. She has a really awesome channel, Lavender Sky Panther on YouTube. You can see it linked in the description of this video. Um, and you're able to connect to her channel and what she does. But I just wanted to first say hello, welcome. How are you today?
Hey, great. It's funny. I had a feeling that the time start would shift and that it was all good because it's a reminder of where we're at now. Like let's throw the clock out out the window. There is no clock.
Right.
That's how life has been lately, or at least for the past few years, certainly. So it's just kind of fun. We landed in the exact right time, and hopefully for all of you too. And
Right.
there's always a replay.
Right. And perhaps it's 404. Isn't that like an error that pops up on
Yeah, I think
on your
so.
computer?
Error page not found.
It means something. Enjoy your holiday, Christmas, Mila and Vibe Tribe. Yeah, well, thank you, all of you, so much for the. I've gotten so many messages from y'all saying happy Christmas Eve and Merry Christmas. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. And I see a lot of people in the audience. So I'm going to actually mention now, while we have some people here, just a reminder we're not doing our normal group tonight. It's going to be tomorrow, and that's going to be a meditation, though the first hour will be a chat. So if you want to join the normal conversation that we typically will have, that'll be tomorrow for an hour and followed by an hour long meditation. So just to, I put that out as an announcement earlier on the. You can find that link in the community section of the YouTube channel, as well as in our Telegram group. So um, a lot of stuff. So happy Christmas. Um, what's really the emphasis in my world about this time of year is actually the days of Yule. So I don't know if y'all do you know much about what the days of Yule are? Because I could walk through it for a second. I should probably. I'm
Yeah,
going
I
to say
think,
this.
yeah. Sorry, I got to do a punny. It's got to be punny today because, it's the spirit of things. But I'll just say you'll be the right one to go over the Yule.
Ha
Get
ha
on
ha ha. So the days of Yule, they go on for I believe until the 4th of January. I'm just going to double check because I actually have this thing that I share every day, and I haven't shared today's yet. Um, but yeah, so it goes until January 6th. So how it goes is the day before the solstice is the mother's night, and the following is the solstice, and then the third day of Yule is the day of the wild hunt and morning of grief. And um, yesterday was the feast of the sun, and we got a spike in our temperatures. We got up to 79 Fahrenheit. And I mean, just to let you guys know who don't know any different, because you're not from here where I'm at, this time of year is when we get snow, when the roads are so frozen that the whole world closes because no one has any way of getting anywhere. And instead, we got 79 degrees, you know, melting in the sun outside. Um, and then today is Day of Community, the fifth day of Yule. And today's focus is uniting family and friends, recognizing the guidance of light. And the activities is to share a communal meal, light candles for guidance, and celebrate togetherness. And, a lot of times that is what we end up doing on Christmas, on the day of Christmas, right? And why is Christmas interesting or important? Let me hurry and say that last part, okay? Because between the solstice and Christmas, the 25th of December, um, where we celebrate Christmas actually on the solstice, um, is that the day the sun stops. And this is actually the time that a lot of indigenous groups all over the planet, between the solstice and the 3 days following, that's when they tell their origin stories. That's when they tell their creation stories. That's when you can talk of the ghosts and they won't hear you because they're in there. That's their 3 days of rest. That's the 3 days and nights of darkness. Like we're in it right now. And tomorrow is the other side. And so that's when the sun starts to move again after 3 days of quiet. And it begins to change. So those in the southern hemisphere will have 1 day or 1 minute later will the sun rise, and 1 minute earlier will the sun set. And here in the northern hemisphere, tomorrow sun will rise 1 minute earlier than it has for a while, and it will set 1 minute later. So we'll have 2 minutes more of sun every day leading into the June solstice. So that's why Christmas is observed on this day, because this is the day everybody's like, okay, okay. That's where the earlier story about it comes in. So I just find it to be really useful to know, because then we can honor the sacred elements of it. You'll see in the activities from day to day, it's things that we do in our traditions. The New Year resolution and the day of is the day of lights. So anyway, the last thing. Tomorrow is called the sacred fires. That's why we're doing it tomorrow. And this is this embracing the time for meditation, gathering at the divine spark and spiritual awakening, light hearth fires or candles and share reflections of divine rebirth and honor spiritual growth. And so that is tomorrow. So there's my long spiel. The days of Yule have a lot of significance. Would you like to share anything?
Um, I'm not really picking up anything about that other than, there is just something magical about this time. And I will bring up, I know at this time, it can be joyous, but it can also feel very dark, right? Especially
Right.
for a lot of us, if we have friends or loved ones that have transitioned very recently. I know quite a few. And there's this thing, it's for me, an incredible reminder of our inner light and what that means, and that it's always there. And it's no, happenstance that everywhere they celebrate, like a lot of towns will say it's the night of lights. It's a big deal. Like, why do we wait all year round? I mean, all year long, just to this one moment to, like, okay, light up all the trees around, in the bigger community, and let's go around and celebrate. And it's because what you're saying is a very specific time, something tied very much to the land and agriculture, that it mattered when you had long days,
Yeah.
versus shorter days. And when you plant and when you, plant certain things and in preparation, anticipation of the light to come. And then you just always know that the light will always be there in one form or the other. So I know it's kind of wandered around, but that's kind of the nature of these things. But I just want to put out up front, just so much love coming to everybody who is in a place where it seems like the little twinkle lights aren't there right now. And just remember, we can always focus on that fire within. So that's why it's very interesting that you have the Sacred Fires meditation, I forget, sorry, how you named it, coming up tomorrow, that we are the eternal flame, so to speak. We are our presence here. If we are here, I was thinking about it too. I was reflecting before I came on the show that, some of us are in great shape. That's a phrase, right? You're physically in great shape and things are good health-wise. And there are times where we don't feel like we're in good health, especially we talk about ascension symptoms. And no matter what, I just am feeling called strongly to bring the message to honor your body, love it in whatever shape it's in. As long as we have one breath still in our body, life force, thank it. It has brought us through so much. It's, developed us from a teeny tiny, micro cell to all of this, right? So just, my goodness, I'm just grateful about that and the wonder of it all.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. It's a time of gratitude for sure. In fact, I have a story that might help more gratitude come in, just because sometimes it's good to hear that spirit is working for people. You know, is that uh so yesterday in the shower, a lot of my you know moments of awareness come into the when I'm in the shower, when I'm washing dishes. Usually, when you're surrounded or interacting with water, you'll find this to be true as well. Um, that all of a sudden I was overwhelmed by the drive um, to create to purchase some things for a family that I know aren't going to be able to have Christmas this year. And I don't not I'm not you know what I do isn't lucrative exactly. And it is a beautiful exchange of energy that happens that I have no desire to have excess is why, and so I don't manifest it, you know what I mean. um anyhow but I just knew I needed to do it. I needed to do this thing for these people, and um, questioning it because rent's coming up, and I went ahead and just did it. And after I did it, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, that was like it was being delivered anonymously and all this stuff, right? And um, anyhow, then uh, the thing happened wrong. Oh wait, let me jump into. Then I was like, oh no, I made this decision. I don't know if I can. And I'm like, let me go look at this other account that I don't look at very often. And someone had just given me a donation that I hadn't seen, and all of a sudden everything was okay. Rent was paid. Good. This family was going to get to have Christmas when I knew they weren't going to. Good. And then, yeah, I mean, just it was amazing. It was very emotional experience. I emailed the person back right away and told them the story, and also they answered and how happy they were that was, they were also guided by spirit. The timing, I received that donation 10 minutes after I clicked confirm order. Like, you know, then it was to be delivered today, right? Well, they mixed things up and they decided to deliver it to me. And but they didn't deliver it to me. They delivered it to there's a picture of somebody's door and it's nobody in the story. And I was like, "Oh no, cuz now still this family doesn't have anything." I got a hold of the people that were of the store cuz right now I needs to be delivered in order for it to work. Like I can't make it, I have a show coming up, and this show anyway. Um so then I got a hold of the customer service, and they refunded it, and made it so I was able to get it again today, only much quicker. Um and before I once it got resolved, my first thought was, because I had thought about a different family, and I thought, I really hope that it went to them, and I hope they keep it. I know they'll see my name and they'll know it's not theirs, but I really hope that they would keep it, is what I said. And then I went back and looked, and I realized the photo is their back door, and it didn't get returned to me. But this family also really, really needed it. So part of the order that I had made that I'm going to be able to bring over to the other people was already delivered, and another part of it is up in the air. So we'll see what happens. But so all of this went down, and I was like, okay, and um, I when I made the other purchase, the other to help the people that I originally meant to help, uh, it cost more out of my pocket that you know, and I was just, we needed to make this happen. And then I went to my email, and that same person had donated a quantity again after hearing the story of sharing, of bringing, Christmas to people. Like the fact that spirit guided this to happen this way. Like I literally was like, I'm spending my rent money, you know, and now I've been given back like, 50 fold of what I spent. And this is a story of not only a Christmas miracle, but it required me to get involved with the Muggles, which is also good. It's good to do that sometimes. But um, it's this following the guidance of spirit. When I was in the shower, my first thought was, that doesn't seem like a good idea. I've got bills, and it just kept persisting. This is something that you need to do. And for it to be like to be rewarded, I guess. I don't like that word. I'm trying to think of a better one. But to be rewarded for such a thing in that way, it's remarkable. And a lot of times I'm always telling people this is all you got to do is step. Like you step out and know that you're going to be caught. The universe is going to catch you. That so many different times have I had these things happen, and typically they're always around the holiday season, where it's you just leap, and it turns out to be more than what you would expect. Yeah, Jill, to trust, just trust, to trust that's the universe, that God, that spirit is going to catch you, and following that intuition that you have this internal voice, and so we had the chance to make two families have the possibility of having Christmas this year, and were we got more money than we spent. What? Like that doesn't happen, right? It's just really beautiful, and I wanted to say thank you to our generous contributor. I don't know if I can say her name out loud or not. Some people don't like that, but if so, I just who you are. Thank you so much, my beautiful angel from Canada. Thank you. So
Yeah, a friend
there's my
of mine said that her father always said you can never go wrong doing right, and that's, also just following those what we call urges, or it's a welling of something, it's a momentum. And it's always when you think that there's nothing, but if you do follow it, like you said, even just take a baby step, or even just like move a little in that direction, that's when things start happening. And I want to bring up that sometimes, though, we might be called or have that little urge, but be very confused. And I'm just saying this for me, my story, maybe you guys aren't, but it happened to me the other night where I'm like, uh-oh, there's something very specific happening. It was late at night. I was on the street. I'm not going to get into the full details, but something was like, I was caught betwixt like, shoot, I feel like I'm kind of tapped to help this person, but at the same time, I'm not. And it's right in that middle of, it wasn't an indecision because my go-to is, yeah, I'm going to go help. I'm going to do whatever, God, whatever you want. But I was like, wait a minute, this is confusing. I'm getting a mixed signal when I'm trying to tap into my intuition. And I just want to say that in those cases, I really was like internal meditating on the fly, like, okay, what do I do? God, I'm listening. What? Nothing coming. And so it was really that even point, which I wanted to bring up too. Is kind of funny. I was looking at the etymology of Christmas Eve, and the Eve part I thought was going to be tied to Eve. I guess in a weird way it is, but it's Eve is in balance, is evening out. And if you think about it, Eve is, the counterpart to Adam, balancing each other out, or the divine masculine, divine feminine balancing out. It's also a balancing point as things get dark to light, anyway, a whole thing there. But what I wanted to say is I was exactly in that point, like I'm evened out. So what do? I could go left, I could go right. I really don't know. And it's not that I wouldn't want to help in this situation, but I was being asked to just almost like the solstice, right? Stop, my little sun spark, stop a moment. And then it came to me, I help when I can, sure. Like if it's raining, I would like throw an umbrella out to somebody, like give you the clothes off my back kind of thing. But at the same time, I was getting a message that, hey, you're not the only one in this world and in this universe. God works through all of us, plants, animals, people, whatever. Maybe this particular story of the situation I was in is not mine to take and run it down to the end zone, although I hate to bring in that example, but it's clear. So I kept observing until I got a little more clarity. And I'm like, why am I doubting this? I already got, maybe it's not mine to take. But the helping heart that wanted to do so much is like, but wait, that's in contradiction to what I would normally do. But I listened. I kind of was like, that doesn't feel good. But I went on with the momentum. I went on my business. It was whether I should help somebody on the road. And there was a reason, whole thing behind it. So then I'm like, well, if I listen to my intuition, I'll go down the road and I'll be looking for police and maybe they can do the help they need to do.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I'm looking everywhere, scanning everywhere, not a soul. I felt like I was in one of those in between times where time shifted and stood still and we're like somewhere else in a pocket
Yeah,
dimension. No one was around, nothing chirping, breathing, nothing. So I went about what I was going to do and I came back and I said, okay, if I still see that person, then okay, I don't care if I feel anything or not, I'll do something. And sure enough, on the way back, nothing. But then I'm like, we second guess ourselves, even going along. I don't care how long anyone's been on their journey with this. These moments will come up. It's just life here. So I was like, should I have done something? And I was kicking myself, right? I should have done something. I don't see the person. Dang it. But then it came through again. No, there are more other people that might need to be the ones that God works through
yeah,
for everything to fall in place as it should. So, but it's a tester because,
yeah,
sometimes we have these challenges. But like you're saying in your case, oh yeah, you follow that because you feel something moving you. And it's our own selves like kind of putting the brakes on. But it's like because we're between the muggle world and the 5D world, as you say, lovingly said muggles for anybody out there. It's with endearment. It's the 3D world and the 5D. It's the matrix, not the matrix of a different kind. But the point is that we do have these moments when we know better, like our soul, like we know better, but we're still going to find ourselves in some of these things. But every single time, if we follow that little momentum, yes, it's not the reward, it's just the joy of experiencing something tremendously beautiful.
yeah, yeah. And if you follow the intuition to do it, then there's not regret. Like like I have a similar story to what you kind of told is that, and this, I when I was in Washington, people kept giving me things because we were like, you know, new there, but everybody, people were giving things that we already had things for. And I didn't know, like, you couldn't decline, it was left on our doorstep kind of stuff. And so we had repeat of a lot of, like, items, and that's why I had a storage unit. That was the main reason I had a storage unit. Anyway, um, I was in there and I had these clothes that I had worn before when I was larger, and they were in there, and they kept ending up in my hand. It was a big bag, and it kept ending up in my hand. I'm like, what is the deal? And like I kept tossing it, like, get away. I'm trying to do this. And then I'm closing up shop and putting things back, and I'm carrying it back to the truck again. I'm like, what's it doing in my hand? And I kept putting it down. I kept putting it down. It somehow still ended up going home with me. Like a miracle, magical way, because I'm someone put it back in my hand again, you know.
It's
Then,
magical.
yeah, the next day I'm outside playing with my sunflowers. It's that we had just gotten a real snap of cold, and these two women walked by, one that lived in the apartments that I lived in, and her friend whose house just burned down, and she lost everything except for what she was wearing, and she was wearing summer clothes. The bag was full of winter things, and I was like, dang it, I should have kept that bag. I should have. And I just felt the strong intuition, go look in the back of your truck. I had like a camper on the back of the truck. Sure enough, it was in my truck. And they were all winter clothes. There were sweaters and long pants and things that were her size. And they were also her size. And it may seem something insignificant to me if I wasn't really paying much attention, but I was able to help that person be warm, and it wasn't I did that. Spirit did that. I don't feel like I'm taking away anything from myself or giving responsibility to spirit, because all I have to do now is float. Realize that you're just a leaf on a stream. And it's an easy river. It's not got like rapids or anything. It feels like rapids when you fight and you bounce off the rocks below, wondering if there's an alligator or a waterfall up ahead. But just letting yourself float and trusting you will find that exactly what needs to happen does. You know, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
and
Weird.
as long as you don't sense any danger with the person you're encountering, because I've certain places in the city, certain people come up to you, yeah, we can be loving and, giving and everything, but you still are in a kind of 3D playing field. You've got to also sense things out. Like if somebody's out of their mind completely and has violent tendencies, that's not the time to go, oh, let me come hug a grizzly bear who's very agitated, right? So there's also common sense with it. So sometimes, in these situations where you may also not be sure about that, like, is it okay? Then I always just say, God, be here present, love, be here present, like in the moment. And then I do a little, scan if it's okay to approach a person or not, in some extreme cases. But yeah, it's also definitely, you're reminding me of a time, very magical time of year where it's not a test for people like us, but I don't know what it is. It's just like we're gifted these magical moments if we listen to that urge or that pull to do something. And I've been in that situation too, by all rights, like not like a couple dollars to my pocket, but there's a guy there and he needs a blanket, just a blanket and a pillow. And am I going to walk by? No. And I go and do it. And then the things that are said back to you become very interesting. And like one time a guy said it in such a way that really caught my attention. Again, we talked about how God really exaggerates to make sure you're paying attention
Mhm.
and listening. Like you had the bag, coming out time after time after time. Like that's an exaggeration. And in this case, it was just such an exaggerated statement. He just said, like, looked at me, like through me and said something so profound. And those are the moments, that God is speaking directly from that person to you. And they may not even know what they've said, just like we don't know. Sometimes you get in a channel state or whatever, or things coming through. But those are the gifts that we realize, wow, there's just so much more to this whole thing. And it can
Yeah.
be really fun, and again, if our perception changes on it, there's nothing done in a low vibrational feeling of like, oh, no pity, no charity here. We're just all individuals on this planet experiencing stuff. It's like when you're a little kid, like, hey, I'll share my trading cards with you. I'm gonna, back in the day, old school wise, right? Or I'll trade this little car. And to me, this one girl in the park, she had a leaf. I know that thing was the world to her. And yet she was giving it to me. I was giving her a little token. And it's just, what do we value? What do we put value on? And when you look, take everything else away, it's just that feeling we talk about all the time, that welling up of love right here, that big ball of light and love that just gets you, smiling, laughing, just wanting to hug and just give whatever you have, because it doesn't matter at
Yeah.
a certain level. What matters is that spirit that we are here to be and to anchor on this planet, the light, regardless of what's going on with the sun or moon, darkness, light, it doesn't matter because we are it.
Yeah.
And as long as we are here, we're here to help each other, love each other, learn things, experience things with each other. That's it.
Intrinsically luminous.
Well, I have to say it because you've got the hat on. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. Yoda back.
Exactly. You
Right?
know, let yourself be the light that you are. Here's a fun experiment that I like to do a lot is to make crowds laugh. All you got to do is laugh. And you're not laughing at anybody. You're not doing anything in particular that's especially funny. Just let yourself laugh. Notice the world that it is joyful. And once you begin to laugh, so do everyone else. At first, they're polite about it. They're just trying to stifle the laughter and, maybe cover it up a little bit. And once a few people lose it, like lose it in church kind of story, they're trying to like hold it together. It's best to do when you're on a bus or some type of like in a grocery store where people are in line or, places where people are just kind of mindlessly waiting. Sometimes even on elevators is pretty funny.
We're just gonna
But
say elevators. That's the best
yeah,
place.
yeah. And then just laugh. That's why the fart machines exist because it's funny, and everybody starts laughing. Then after a very short time, they forget why they're laughing. It's just that that's what they're doing now. And they know you feel it. That kind of deep laughter, that deep belly laugh is so healing. You can feel your body renewed and rejuvenated as a result of it. Something similar works with smiling. Smiling is contagious, and so is laughter. So if you're not as daring as I am, smiling at people, you know, We can smile as we pass. It doesn't need to be that we're stopping them and making them interact with us. It's just smiling, and you watch that person walking taller. She used to throw love balls at people, like you were saying, and like it's always a fun thing to watch. Back then, she was so young that she didn't really comprehend why they were reacting the way they were, but we've learned that you can mold your energy, this light ball, and then after you've made the light ball, it's pretty big and it's full of love. Then when you throw it at somebody, they feel it, and it impacts them in a positive way. So she started to do this to people that were walking by on the street that were obviously having a rough day, and their first reaction was always like, what do you do? I'm throwing something at me, and like, no mud, we're good, like. And then as they walk on, 1, 2, 3 steps down the way, all of a sudden they're sitting up taller, and they're looking back and they're realizing, what did she do? She changed me. She improved me for a moment. My experience, not himself, and it's simple acts of kindness like this that are often held back. We forget how beneficial, how deeply impactful they can be for others, you know? So
Yeah,
just
and
an
there's so
opportunity.
many, sorry, and there's so many ways to bring it, the ways that you say. Also, back in corporate days, I was kind of like, knew this is the end of the line. I can't take, I can't do it anymore because the whole spiritual awakening was happening. But I found even just a bag of donuts. I was in a downtown setting and I had a bag of donuts, and I would like, they had a special sometimes, like buy one box, get another, whatever. So I'd get it. And I did it for me so that I had joy that I could keep going. I did it also for everybody in the office, however many donuts there were, but it was really kind of like an internal, like, I need this to keep moving. However, I found something miraculous happen. So I was in a downtown setting, and just coming up the sidewalk with a logo on the bag, people from across the street, because forget about nutritional value or not, I'm talking about happy factor of donuts. So I just look at a pink frosted donut with sprinkles, come on, happy factor, I don't have to worry about ascension symptoms, and I better not touch that donut or whatever. I'm just talking about things that we look at that kind of inspire joy. So I had people from all the way across the street craning their necks and turning to see what bag I had, and they know there are donuts in there, right? Because it's obvious. So then I get on the elevator, talking about the elevator. I see people and they're really staring at the bags. So I'm like, hey, do you want one? And they're like, oh, no, I couldn't. I'm like, sure, take a donut. Like, and then bam, everything uplifts, right? And then when I got into the office, people just saw me come in the door, and already I see all the light bulbs, boom, 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 all over the place lighting up because there are donuts, right? So it could be simply as like, if some people are, you don't want to go dance in public. Like, there's a YouTuber out there, I think his name is Tian or something, and he is so joyous, and he'll just dance out and try to get other people to dance. And then he has a friend, and he'll do the it reminded me of the love ball. He'll go like this, like you're throwing a basketball to the other guy, and then he'll pick up on the other side. And it's like, yeah, like, dare to be fun, like just live a little, and uplift wherever you go. And so if it's a smile, I mean, I hand out, Mila knows this, I hand out little tokens everywhere I go. I throw some in my purse, my bag. They're little sparkly bags with little mini rubber ducks. And I know people do this for Jeep. They'll leave a little duck on the Jeep. I was doing this before I knew that was a thing, but they're little squeaky ducks. And multicolored bags. And I hold them out and say, hey, you want something little for luck and fun? And, it squeaks, and as a thank you, depending on what comes to you to say to people. And I just hold them out. And then right away they know to go by intuition. And they always go for their favorite, like, oh, I need a red one. Oh, I want that pink one. And it's just a beautiful sharing experience. And then you're infusing all your love into it, and they feel it. And then you're having a moment because you're sharing that time. And then I say, oh, there's a squeak technique, because not everyone can get it to squeak right away. And everyone really wants to know. And then you're bonding like human to human. We have that moment, that exchange. And I got to say, it's just so much magic happens through this little rubber duck. Who knew, right? Because it's just about the love behind it.
Yeah. And if you don't, it's not just to say that we're telling everybody that you need to give. It's that we're here as a community of spirits having human experiences, not a human having a spiritual one. And we forget that we're a part of a community on it just naturally. So remembering to connect and engage as much as you can. I can say this, I'm not going to tell you to do something I don't do, so I'm letting you know I still am pretty introvert. Like I'm not out there going, "Hey, I'm going to stand out your porch for 5 hours." Like I don't want to. I really don't. And but, I we can send love from afar. I've watched these love balls affect people dramatically, and that doesn't cost anything but a moment of your time, you know like smiling and laughing and things like this, and if that's something you're able to do, then sure. I find that there's benefit, especially people who are particularly social. um, that's not me, who really want to like have conversation and engagement. Like there's a lot of different ways to do it, and I guess why this is even coming up at all is that um, I'm watching the world change and shift in a noticeable way. More and more people who I would have mixed into like the muggles, group, are becoming more and more spiritually evolved, and you can see it and feel it and partake in it. And I feel like we're doing extra work and transmuting a lot of the denser energy. And like Amy's comment, I'm going to highlight real quick, saying, is anyone else in extreme fatigue today? My friend and I are just lumps of tired. I like how you said that, Amy. And, a lot of us are feeling this way, I would say. It's kind of contrary to the system, because this time of quiet is meant for being quiet. But when we get engaged with the festivities, as it were, we'll also find often that we're being expended when we're supposed to be quieted. The festivals, the parties, the gatherings, and things that we do often are keep us rushing around. And oh no, last second, and then now Christmas is here, and now it's just a sea of discarded paper and broken toys. And it's like, well, was that worth the time that's spent for quiet? And so that's why a lot of us feel contrary right now and so exhausted, is we're doing both things. We're meant to be in um, this quieted place. So if you can take a moment to meditate, to be in a quieted space, and to take care of yourself, to honor yourself, be gentle with yourself. It's okay to take a nap, right? Learning that that's okay is hard for me.
And that,
It was hard for me at first.
I was just going to say, and you've brought us right back to that Eve, that balance, because we're talking about uplifting and giving where we can. But yeah, it's sometimes hard in this spiritual way, right? We're great at giving, but it's really hard and painful almost for some to receive. And so it's also getting to that state of being a grateful and gracious receiver in many ways, and all that implies. And that also means receiving the rest. And like you're saying, loving and giving to yourself and receiving. And sometimes we rest or whatever, maybe still don't feel great. Those are moments where I say we want energy, like Amy's saying, just feeling like lumps of, yeah, exactly, I've been feeling that way a lot. And in those moments, if I still feel there's something I need to do, because it's like, okay, we're being given the fatigue also, so we take a time out. Otherwise we just go.
Yeah.
A self-monitored timeout. But at the same time, sometimes there's like, okay, I get it. I'm supposed to slow down. Spirit guides everyone. Okay, good. However, I still really want to get this done. And in those moments, after resting, and I feel like, okay, I got the resting, guys, and it's still not coming, and I'm still exhausted, I just say to my team, I just throw it up like a big golden cloud above me. That can be God, Jesus, ancestors, ET galactics, everybody up there who's a loving force who I know exists. Okay, I don't have to see them with my eyeballs. I feel them. I see them in the inner sight. They're there. So I always just throw my hands up and go, hey guys, whoever wants to do it, I don't care. It doesn't have to have a name on it. Whoever's going to take this on, but I just say, kindly bring the energy through me so I can get this done. Kindly do it. And more often than not, it will come. Just enough will come to get that done. And then, okay, if I'm supposed to rest, I'll do it again. But it's like, what's that game show? I think I just saw a quick snippet of it once, but it's like phone a friend. Like if you really can't get the answer, they say, hey, do you want to take the option of phone a friend? But whatever, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like the divine phone a friend. Hey guys, I can't see my way to get there myself, but I really could use the help. And I just
Right.
say, hey, I'm phoning a friend, help me out, bring through that energy, please, and kindly
Yeah, I
do
think
it
there's
with.
a series of lifelines that they can choose. I wanted to real
You're
quick highlight, say thank you. I keep trying to click it, but comment. Here we go. Thank you,
oh,
Fenya, for the super sticker. That was very kind and generous of you. It's a video game controller giving a thumbs up and says GG. So thank you. I don't know what that symbol is, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Merry Christmas to you as well. Yeah, like if we start to allow ourselves to follow this instinct of ours to go with the flow. This is the divine feminine energy, right? This divine feminine energy is the water that flows, not the banks that control. And we've been taught to be in a distorted masculine for so many years that we don't always realize that's what we're doing, that we're trying to control something. And so, you know, just as you were saying, that there are ways to cope and to help, to be sure that you're filling yourself up, and at the same time, allow yourself. Oh, it means good game. Thank you. Yeah, see, I'm not a video person anymore. 444 right now. Thank you, Josh. Um, is you know, um, allowing what it is that is meant to come through in the flow of it. Like rather than forcing it. So for me, what and I feel like a lot of it was Maddie, my daughter, when she was born. The only advice I took from anybody else, because I was quite older when I had her, I didn't need everybody's advice. In fact, I had a onesie that said, "No, my mama doesn't want your advice. Thank you." That I used to put on her almost every time I went out if I hadn't cleaned. Um, is The advice I did take was nap when she does, and because otherwise you're going to be just tired. And I was able to. I was a stay-at-home mom, like I am now. Only I didn't do what I do now. And I had that available to me, and I learned to be okay with taking naps, to remove the guilt of naps. That was really important and significant for me because for a lot of my life, I didn't know that wasn't lazy behavior. I was that was being lazy. If I was being and I was taught that to take care of myself or to receive what I need for myself was selfish behavior. And so if I had what I needed or wanted, I would find somebody to give it to because that's what you're supposed to do. And it took several years to unlearn that behavior. So if that's you and you're fatigued as all get out like most of us are right now, I'm not doing a lot of stuff. I'm not. And I am that person who gets excited when there's canceled plans. I'm not the one that gets disappointed. So when things like that happen, cherish those and celebrate those moments, you know, and like I'm doing for tomorrow, I am doing something tonight on a personal level. So we're not going to have today's Zoom meeting like we normally do on Wednesday. We are doing it on Christmas night. It starts at, I believe 6:30, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check. It's a different time than usual, and I just remembered. Let me double check. Um, it starts at 6:30. So tomorrow. And that's in order to make it possible for people who are finishing up Christmas to still be able to come, and by doing that, I made it possible to not overrun myself, to wear myself down too far. I can spread it out because we don't actually observe Christmas Day in this house. We did it already on the 21st. Um, and so it's okay to cancel. It's okay to say you can't today, that it's not possible today, as much as you can. Sometimes we got to go to work. And so to follow what Varleigh had said earlier would be good advice. But anyway, I wanted to ask you. I mean, we're getting really close to the end of the show already. um, do you want to talk about what the symbol of Santa Claus is? I think it'd be kind of fun to talk about that.
Well, that's it. Well, then we got to go on for like another hour or two. So maybe we
We
take
have 15 minutes.
no, I think I don't want to touch that one right now because that'll bring up things that areas I don't want to go into that we'll get to. Yeah, it'll bring the energy in a different place that I'm not feeling.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's yeah,
I was
no, I just don't want
planning
to.
on it this whole week.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
Well, you can go there. I know if I take it somewhere, it's not going to be probably the somewhere that where it wants to go for right now. But if
I
you want
like
to go
what
somewhere
Josh
with it,
says.
huh?
Josh calls it meditation. I like that.
Meditation.
Meditation. It's a
Well,
spiritual
just
practice, he says.
as there's nap shaming in the world, like how is that a thing? Like we take it on like, oh, because people will think you're lazy, call you lazy. But like, would you ever go up to a baby and say, don't nap now? Like a loving, little child. So like we got to look at ourselves too, like that, you know, we're a loving child worth every moment of self-love and also of others, and have that, surrounding you. And actually, sorry, I'm going to take it a hop it in a different direction really quick, and then you can take the Santa Claus. But when you look at the word Christmas, oh, one thing I found interesting about the word Christmas is how people write Xmas, and some people get very triggered and offended by seeing Xmas, and I've always thought, well, why? It's okay, it's an abbreviation, whatever. I was just finding out that Xmas is because the X is the word chi. I mean, the letter chi in the Greek alphabet. And so it's kind of putting together like the Christ and the Miss abbreviated. So it's not like a big deal. But anyway, and then we talked about before like Kai and she and the word and the child. And that brings me to, in a lot of other languages, Christmas. And I won't go into the etymology of that, but that's fun, like homework assignment, fun work assignment for people to go look on their own. But in other languages, we had to consider what Christmas is called too, because it's Navidad in Spanish, Feliz Navidad. It's Buon Natale in Italian, and that's focused on the birth part of the word. The birth, the Christ. It's kind of like, for me, that's the moment the Christ, the God spark comes and hits the planet, right? So anyway, it comes out from wherever it's coming from dimensionally into the 3D Earth. But anyway, I did have a point, but now I lost it. So I'll just hop off that train, and you can take the Santa Claus where you want to
No,
go.
David says, I really do love being a mirror, but then again, in the same sentence, it does kind of suck because it's kind of lonely. Hands down, I wouldn't trade my path for anything. I like
Oh,
this comment a lot. You know, it's really fascinating because right now we are in the time of mirrors. The mirror bearers, the 200, are sometimes called the Watchers, and there's a lot of different cultures where it's discussed in. Merry Christmas to you, Wendy. There's a lot of stuff regarding this happening more. Most of us are mirrors in some way. I think, though, it's more noticeable lately. We're noticing the parts of us that are meant to be healed to come up, sometimes as a reflection through someone else, or we reflect for them, and it's been really fun for me, I gotta say, over the past like couple of weeks. There have been a lot of situations where normally there would be, normally is not the right word, I suppose, but over the years there had been some type of difficulty regarding it. And it's the flow of the river. None of that matters. It's a hill of beans, and it's time to move on. And like, I have no desire to create new uh, roots, to anchor self into a density or dense space. And so, like, if there's, and there's people who will sometimes think of this as cowardly, and I for one at one point thought so, but I don't any longer. Is I don't have any desire. If you anybody, I'm not talking about you, Varleigh, specifically, but anybody, if a person has a differing opinion than me, there's been a practice over the years where people take offense to that. And if they find out that you have a differing opinion than themselves, a lot of times they want to, um, like, win you over, like a missionary and knocking on doors or something. And I'm not okay with that. I never have been. And so I just, I walk away. I'm that person. And but before, I still used to always have to say words before I did. And instead, I just move on. I just walk. Sometimes I'll say I love you, and I'll turn around, on my heels, but I'll walk away. And I just have no interest. I'm not here to argue with people. I'm not here to debate. Your opinion's still not going to affect me in any way. And so I'm not going to waste my time with it. And this has just been the past 2 weeks. It's been so cool to see different examples of it, is what I mean. Like, I've been doing that for years, but it gets better and easier over the years, each time that you do it. And the fact that you're given a situation time after time to give you the opportunity to lovingly decline, to engage in the drama, you know? I think that is that's the best kind of gift that we get in Ascension, is to observe and to see some of these things. So I I have no desired strong notion to manifest anything in 3D. Aho. And to pull those roots out as opening up your crown chakra, because that's where the earthly attachments are. The earthly attachments are attachments um, to the monopoly of what is pretend earth, right? The
I just want
matrix.
to, and I just want to say one thing about, I'm glad Jill brought up that with the word manifest. And I was just talking about people getting triggered by Xmas. Manifest is like, I have a love-hate relationship. I'm just saying that tongue in cheek, no hate. But with the word manifest, because it's like the old school way in the first time when you're waking up spiritually, at least like a decade back, there was a whole, I don't want to say an agenda, but there was kind of a thing distorting a little bit how manifestation works. So I kind of had a bad feeling, bad taste in my mouth about it. But now it's just, being in the moment and knowing that whatever needs to come through will. That is to me like a true manifestation. But I want to say the word itself, manifest, I just laugh because I do speak a few languages. And that one is bringing up Italian and German slammed together, because mani is hands and fest is party. So mani in Italian and fest in German is party. So to me, that kind of really sums up what I feel manifest is. It's a party in the hands, because it's the creation that you can create whatever you want and celebrate that. So I just see an image of the hands just having a party and like letting it go out. So now I'm more comfortable. It's my own personal journey story about manifest. So I took it from, it has some negative connotations. The negative connotations were that it was, I think The Secret and other things were bringing up things like, yeah, you can just do this, and nothing against that, because it's a very valuable tool, The Secret and other, things that came along the path, a book and a movie and whatever. But it's also dependent upon what space we are in the shift, whether that is going to work or something else is going to work, or it's where you are at on your journey within the shift. There's a lot of things that, so that people don't get frustrated, like, well, I thought I could just manifest this and it's not coming. And, so it's not setting up for failure. I like the image of it's a party in your hands. And again, it's when we put an expectation and a time and a clock on it, which will bring some disappointment. And, just got to be ready for it to come through a myriad of ways. There's just not one or, another. That's
Thank
all
you.
I have to say.
Well, we got 4 more minutes. You want to say, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I think really quickly, you're familiar with the Pacific Northwest and a bit from that region. I think you live there a bit in that area off Northwest somewhere.
That's correct.
And I just, first of all, I just want to say prayers up for anybody dealing with any turbulent weather. And I won't get into that whole topic. Much of it in my book is manufactured. But anyway, I see it. I'm envisioning it all clear and good out there. But somebody just brought up to my attention. I'm just going to bring it up, and you can walk on by it, Mila, obviously, like say, okay, next. But something came on my radar that I've never heard before, and I don't know if you have anything about it, is Orcas Island it's in the Salish Sea, and it's off of Washington State somewhere. And it came up, a lovely woman. I was sitting in the DMV at the driver's license place, and I had the most spiritual encounter ever of somebody. It was amazing. We talked for 2 hours. So some of these mundane day-to-day things, like you think you're going to mail a letter, or you think you have to go to the store to do this, might be just your opportunity for something magical these days, as things kind of shift and change further on the planet. But anyways, just curious, because if you had anything about Orcas Island, and if not, we move on. Because I also have my Orca agate stones were calling to me too, and I don't know anything about that region. Maybe that's just a tiny message for somebody out there to go look it up. I think that may
I
all
love
be.
orchids. They're really
I
pretty,
did.
and I do know that there's a lot of, especially like the indigenous of Alaska, different all the different groups out there. They'll have a lot of wood carvings and sacred creations that embody the Orcan spirit, and I recently interacted with three orcas, but they were quite smaller compared to what they should be. But this was an astral, so perhaps I was quite
Oh,
tall.
wow.
But they were
Three,
living.
three orcas. It's just
What
reminding me
was
of the Three Kings.
that? What was that?
No, it's just funny that, three, of course, the Trinity coming around Christmas, and they're black and white, so they're kind of like day and night. We're talking about the solstice and the summer solstice, but also the idea of three. It's just interesting because we keep talking about the three-eye atlas, and you've got three orcas, and it's just there's maybe something swimming around there. And of course, I love the phrase you brought up, and who shall rise again? So, and we're talking about water and flow with the rivers. And the interesting thing you're talking about mirror, whoever brought up mirror, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name. It's funny because water, can be a mirrored surface, or when it's a little turbulent, we don't have that, right? So it's also like the flow. There'll be moments of pure reflection. There'll be moments of maybe you're not supposed to see it, right?
You're only meant to see what you're meant to see in the time that you're meant to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Gypsy Diamond, love to all, shine bright, ride on rainbows, dance on moonbeams, have a wonderful day. And to you, it's a beautiful time of year. Like, I mean, there's so many different topics that I did want to go down, but we didn't get to any of them. And so, like, we don't have much time to go into anything else. I just looked up, we've been on for 56 minutes and 56 seconds. However, I do need to wrap this up on the hour because I do have another engagement. But man, we just really didn't get much chance to go into any of the topics. That's usually how it works. I can say this, and I bet people in the audience can feel it. I'll bet that Varleigh, as well as myself, planned a bunch of topics, and that's usually what happens. Is these shows aren't meant to be planned. You cannot script it, otherwise it's clunky.
Yeah,
It
it
never
goes.
works.
And Mila, I don't know if you're aware, but I think it was the last show. Somebody out in the audience might remember, or whoever made the great comment. I think you said, I don't know if it was on your last Q&A. There was a show recently though, and you said, I looked at the clock and it was 56:56, and I remember that because somebody in the audience said that's 11:11
Oh,
because 5
right,
plus 6 is 11:5, so it's right.
right.
But that just happened. That same number.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a sacred number. I find it to be very encouraging whenever I get that number. In fact, there's a lot of rabbit holes to jump down with that of my personal life and how it was meant to be, right? All perfectly in order. Exactly, Andrea. Like I I I get so excited because it's one of those things where if we could just go live when we start talking about these crazy rabbit holes, that's what we want to try to capture. And so when we're trying to pick something up that we already did, it just doesn't work. This is an
Yeah.
authentic conversation, and with authenticity, we can't. So any research that I have had from a couple of days ago, it's probably pretty profound for a lot of people, but it's not profound for me anymore because I already know all about it. You know what I mean? And so it's like you forget that it matters to even talk about it sometimes. And life isn't meant to be planned. Exactly. But I can say
And
this is that it's been an honor to share the energy of today with you, Varleigh. And I'm
oh,
glad
me
that you came.
too. Thank you.
And I'm glad that all of you in the audience were able to join as well, whether now or in the future. And, my big story of the abundance and the gifts for the neighbors. And that felt like the biggest miracle of Christmas that I've ever experienced. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm never going to forget this Christmas. Like, it was such a big deal that, like, how this world has just been so generous and so loving and assisting us. And then once what was us that got taken care of by, some amazing unexpected things. Then on top of that, the neighbors were taken care of. You know what I mean? There was things that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise that were made possible. And now we get to start our new year knowing that rent is paid. You know what I mean? Like, what a great gift. And just thank you to every one of you who have participated in this particular, you know, shift of the worlds that we're in, because I know that where we are from this vantage point, the world is much more shiny and bright than it ever was before.
Well,
So thank
Mila, I have to say too, and I'm sure I'm not alone, and if I am, so what? You're not truly alone, as we say. We have our physical body, we have our whole spirit team, and I know what we all mean when we feel alone, but you look deeper and you realize, we cannot. It's physically impossible. It's spiritually impossible. However, I just want to say, and this is not an embarrassment moment. This is just thank you so much, heartfelt thanks for holding this space, because I know there have been many days, I'm going to start crying, where I'm like, oh, thank God Mila and the community are there. Because a lot of this feels very lonely when you're waking up. Oh my goodness. But I think this is fine. This is raw emotion. And this is an outpouring of love. How I haven't had to meet any one of you, but everyone in the chat and Mila. Oh my God, I hope you feel it. I just feel so much love and gratitude for all of you and everyone beyond who might see this on the replay. We are here to love each other and forgive and give self-love at this time. There's nothing in this world that we could have done, not done, that you cannot forgive yourself and celebrate yourself and others. And there's a timing to everything. And be gentle on ourselves and just love each other in so much as we can just remember that core essence of love. And I love you and I love all of you. Thank you for having my glistening little tears here. I wish it really were snowing because they would freeze to little crystals.
Aho, and thank you for saying that. I am honored to be a part of this container and to be able to be present to witness such evolution in each person that crosses our path. It's been amazing, and what a joy. Um, and if anyone is out there wondering, speaking of the community, normally right now or 5 minutes ago we started a group Zoom meeting. We're not doing that today. That's going to be tomorrow, and it's going to be later, an hour and a half later than usual. Starting instead of at 5 p.m. for Central Time, it's starting at 6:30, and it'll be an hour of conversation followed by an hour meditation to honor the sacred fire of Christmas night. So please join us if you feel alone. That's why main reason why I'm doing it tomorrow on Christmas night, because usually Christmas night is the one that sucks if you're alone. Like, that's when it really feels hollow.
I'm only
You,
laughing because sucks does sum it up, in those moments. I think, if you're not there, we've all been there. We have a taste of what it can be like. So that's very kind.
so please join us if you are able. It'll be at 6:30. So if you're looking at it right now live, this call, the show, it'll be an hour and a half from now tomorrow. So you can find the link to the and announcement of that in the community section of this YouTube channel, as well as the Telegram group. Once again, thank you so much, Varleigh. We got to get closed now. We got to get out of here. But I love you. Thank you so much.
Mila, one more thing.
No, I'm sorry. We're already 6 minutes over. What?
Love. I just wanted to say, you're the best. That's all.
Oh,
Yoda
thank you.
best.
Love you.